it's Karima here. Welcome back to my channel and to the new review on a new book by Juliet Diaz called Witchery, which was written and sent to our bookstores in 2019. So it's quite a new piece of the book, and before I will start talking about it a little bit more in depth, I would like to just tell a few words in my native language to my Czech subscribers. Tak, dnes tady představuji knížku od Juliet Diaz Witchery, která je úplně super, a kdybyste na ní chtěli českou recenzi, tak si určitě neváhejte objednat naše letní číslo Femme Occulte knihopisu, jelikož tam právě píše recenzi na Witchery i v češtině. Okay, well, thank you for your patience, and what I was telling to my Czech-speaking audience was that I'm not doing only a video on this book in English, but I'm also going to write an article for our summer issue of the Femme Occulte, and both in the Czech and the English version there will be an article on this book, so if you will want to know a little bit more about it, just hop on our website femmeocculte.com and order yourself the summer edition of our Femme Occulte. Okay, well, so let's start with this amazing book. I was really happy when it arrived, and I found it a tiny bit small in that moment, but when I actually started reading it, and when I've put it on my bed table, and when I've put it into my bag and I was reading it out in the nature, it was just amazing size of a book to read. It's quite thick, and so it's packed with loads and loads of information. In general, I would say that it's half to half, or maybe a little bit bigger half of a grimoire, and the practices and the practical ways how to perform rituals, and the rest is also kind of witchy theory and witchy philosophy, and I really like it. I really appreciate this book. I can definitely recommend it straight away from the very beginning. What I also like on the cover and inside is several more details. It's really lovely cover. You can touch the difference between the golden leaves and the rest, which is lovely, and also the letters are imprinted that way. Also, when you open it, you can use the cover to bookmark some parts of the books if you need, and also you can see here that there's a few black pages, and those black pages are marking each chapter, so when you look from outside of the book you can immediately see where is which chapter, and you can just jump right into it when you need to find something quickly, which I find really useful, very handy. Okay, so let's go inside of this lovely book. This time I had made my notes actually into the table of contents and not in front of each of the chapters, but I wrote with my pencil a lot into the chapters as well. So here we have the list of contents, and the book is divided into several parts. We have here part 1, which is a root work, and this root work contains, among all the other stuff, 14 rules on the magical attitude. There's 3 topics how to unleash your inner power, and also there's a list of 10 practices on the art of self-love, which I totally love, and I would like to read you just a few words about it, few notes. So, the art of self-love means to make self-care essential, tune in with a tiny ritual, pursue your passions, listen to the true you, high-five yourself, take time out within, hang out with nature, look after Mother Earth, say no to negativity, put your house in order, and that's all the 10 of them. yeah, so that's one thing that I've put my bookmark to because I really appreciate it. It seems to be kind of small things, but it's definitely the things that we should not be forgetting during our practice. It's really important to keep ourselves balanced and in a good condition and in a good psychological condition, in a good condition of our psyche to practice our rituals. The part 2 is the craft unveiled. It's the part on basic techniques that are necessary for your practice. I really appreciate this part as well. It's about meditation, grounding, raising energy, manifestation, and another things. And among these chapters is also talk about the moon and talk about the sun and the phases of the moon and the phases of the sun. It might seem that the phases of the moon are actually quite basic, that there's just a little bit of information, but I actually find it really cool and giving me loads and loads of new information. So each of the parts of the moon or each of the phases has just a little bit of writing, but it's packed with information. There's how many days after new moon or the full moon is coming this phase of the moon, and what kind of spells we should make and or perform, and what crystals or gems to work with and why, which is absolutely stunning. You don't find this on the gemstones and crystals in many books, so I really appreciate that. Also there's the chapter The Seasons of the Witch, where I actually found a tiny mistake somewhere. Oh yeah, here on the very beginning. The author is writing that an annual cycle of 4 equinoxes based on astronomical events and 4 solstices, traditional pagan festivals. I think that this is just like a typo or a little mistake, because we have 4 astronomical events, indeed, it's 2 equinoxes and 2 solstices, and then we have 4 traditional pagan festivals, the big Sabbats. But it was just like a little thing that I wanted to mention for those who are completely new to the practice and will work with this book, because this book is totally worth it. It's absolutely perfect for the beginners. But also for me as an advanced practitioner, it was still quite enriching and I just really loved it. I went through it quite fast, I must say, but it just gave me so much because the text is so into the matter, it goes straight into the point, and there's no kind of sauce around it. Juliet Diaz just really grabbed it really perfectly. Also, when I'm on the topic of going through the book quite fast, there is actually another thing that is quite interesting about this book, and that's a spell for anointing this book. And I've read this spell, and only by reading it, I already had the feeling how the book is kind of connecting its energy with my personal energy. And this doesn't happen to me with many books. Maybe it was about 5 books during my whole witchy life. And it happened with the Witchery by Juliet Diaz. This book just has its own personality, or some kind of egregore, or some kind of spirit, soul, ghost connected to it. It's fabulous, it's very educational, and it's very open, and it's very supportive for me, this kind of energy. And you can definitely anoint this book, and I believe that then the book brings really a lot into your life. But I've read the ritual, and in that moment I was like, wow, I must read more, I must continue. I can't just make a ritual now and collect all the things that I need for it, even though most of the things that you need for the rituals in this book you will find at your home, in your kitchen or around, which is quite great as well. I was like, yeah, I want to read more, I want to know more, and I will make the anointing ritual a little bit later. And then I was in the end of the book. So yeah, it is really like energetically active book, which I quite appreciate and which is very rare among books. So that's another point why would I recommend it? Another things where I have here a little bookmark is actually connected with this ritual and also another rituals, because except the table of contents, you will find here also the list of rituals, spells, potions and practices, which is quite cool. You have them here always with the page, and you have here also spells connected to different areas of life. So if you need something for healing and broken heart, you just go on the pages which are written here, or if you need something for the success, luck, wealth, protection and other topics. Yeah, so that's another thing that I quite appreciate, and that helps a lot with orientation in this book and orientation in the grimoire part of this book. Also, all the rituals were really inspirational to me in the way that when I was reading the how to do the ritual, how to do the step by step, I was kind of led to use my pencil not only to underline the main points, but also to draw a little sketches of what is going on in that ritual in that moment. And that's something that also I find as the thing of communication with the spirit of this book, that it actually wanted me to draw the little notes and to draw the little pictures about the ritual and just imagine it really, really as if it was happening already when I was reading about it, not only when you then perform it as by the cookbook. So yeah, very, very living thing, I must say. I will try to find few pages where I actually draw some notes. You can see here about like ritual bathing and using the water in the ritual. So that's one of the pages where I was drawing, but I was drawing through the whole book. I think that also the whole kind of idea of how it is all kind of nicely and gently decorated also led me to, here are all those tiny details that also led me to make it even more kind of Book of Shadowy-ish. We will get into the term of Book of Shadow just in a minute with this book. So back to the contents, the part 3 follows with the practical magic, connecting with your inner witch. And then here is exactly a Book of Shadows and a grimoire. Juliet Diaz is nicely answering the question what is the difference between them and how to kind of connect them. So the Book of Shadows, based on her opinion, is a diary of the witch, while grimoire is like a cookbook of spells. And if you connect them together, she calls it witch's journal, which I find quite nice. There's something on creating an altar, harnessing ancestral wisdom, but not only our ancestors as our people in our family, but also all the ancestors, all the wisdom of the humankind, the wisdom of the land, and the wisdom of the spirit. So it's like a all over lovely connection to the earth. Cleansing and protecting is also part of this part. Part 4 is really quite a grimoire. You can see that it's probably the biggest part, this one part before the end. And it's quite focused on using different herbs. It's the witch's garden of herbal magic. So there's loads and loads of spells on different kind of areas in your life that you might need for your life and for your practice. Also, in the end of this chapter, we will find creating your own spells, where Juliet Diaz is writing that it is good to do maximum of 1 spell per week, to give it some time to actually come to the realm of matter, to become real, to make itself happen. Also, there's some answers on why aren't my spells working. In the end of this book, I really loved the part 5, Practice Responsibly. that's a really actual part. That's the part that is showing that the book is up to date, and I really loved it. There's 10 ways to heal the earth, and there's also something on the integrity in witchery, and also about the non-profit organization Witch's Purpose, which Juliet Diaz founded. And in the very end of the book is a love letter, which is beautiful and quite compassionate. But let me just quickly read you just a few words, not completely, the list of the 10 ways to heal the earth and practice responsibly. So there is: reuse jars, collect rainwater, use recycled paper, choose matches over lighters, spend time in nature, use natural cleaning products, air dry your laundry, stay informed about what's going on with the earth, and invest into like environmentally and socially helpful causes and businesses, and use your magic for healing our Mother Earth. So that's quite a lovely list of tips, and again, quite straightforward, quite easily written, easy to understand it, both for beginner practitioner and also quite in depth for the advanced practitioner. So that's basically, here are again a really nice cute illustrations, and that's actually basically all about the book that we can find here inside. As I said before, I think that the biggest thing about it, the biggest difference from other books, is that this book is really living, that there's really like quite an essence of the spirit in this book, and also that it is quite partly a grimoire, but not like a boring grimoire. You just have there step by step what to do, but in a quite interesting way how to do it, also with all the preparation part, and also with all the other things that you should think of, like is your psychological health and your condition, and as is also thinking of the nature, thinking of Mother Earth, and thinking of how to keep her working with us and loving us for longer time, or as long as possible. So another book that I can definitely recommend. Once more, I will recommend you also our Femme Occulte, where you can read more about this book and more about my experience with it. And see you soon.